Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are, welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Monday, 2nd June 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. China is seeing fierce competition in its electric vehicle sector, with Leapmotor and Hawaii-backed Aito both announcing record delivery numbers for May, while other startups struggle in the face of an ongoing price war. The recent convergence of the Dragon Boat Festival and Children's Day resulted in a surge in domestic tourism, with short-haul trips increasing 23% year-on-year. Parent-child bookings accounted for 35% of reservations, and searches for family-friendly hotels saw a significant increase. Competition is also heating up within China's diabetes and weight loss drug market, with over 60 late-stage drug candidates currently undergoing clinical trials. Novo Nordisk's semaglutide product will face price pressure from as many as 20 biosimilar or generic copies after its patent expires in China next year. Morgan Stanley believes that China's progress in AI and humanoid technology will continue to attract investor attention. Magdalena Stoklosa, a director at Morgan Stanley, cited the DeepSeek announcement as shifting discussions about China to technological innovation, a trend expected to persist for several years. As Beijing and Brasilia deepen trade and investment ties amidst trade disputes with the U.S., Brazilian investment bank BTG Pactual is expanding its Asian operations in Hong Kong, seeking opportunities fueled by demand for data centers from Chinese AI firms. UBS Group expresses optimism about Chinese stocks due to the recent tariff pause with the U.S., potential stimulus measures from Beijing, and attractive low valuations. Boeing anticipates Chinese airlines will resume aircraft orders that were paused during the trade war with the U.S. However, analysts caution that supply chain constraints and tariff uncertainties may delay actual deliveries. Kelly Ortberg, Boeing CEO, stated that deliveries to China are expected to begin this month, following a 90-day trade truce agreement between Beijing and Washington in May. Citibank reports a growing number of affluent individuals from mainland China and Southeast Asia are investing in Hong Kong, drawn by its status as a global wealth management hub. Yanis Wu, head of International Personal Banking, IPB, at Citibank Hong Kong, highlighted a 13% surge in high net worth international personal banking clients and a 16% rise in assets under management in Korea. Turning to the United States, tensions with China have resurfaced following a meeting between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and his Chinese counterpart in Geneva. China has criticized the U.S. for imposing AI chip export control guidelines, halting chip design software sales to China, and planning to revoke Chinese student visas, claiming these actions undermine the trade consensus reached in Geneva. China refuted President Trump's accusation that it violated the trade truce reached in Geneva, asserting that the United States was the one implementing discriminatory restrictive measures. Semiconductor giant NVIDIA is reportedly developing a new China-tailored AI chip, the B30, compliant with US export regulations, and plans to produce over 1 million units this year in an effort to maintain its market share in China amidst export restrictions. The United States' imposition of surprise tariffs on steel has triggered economic and diplomatic repercussions. The European Union is preparing countermeasures in response, as the tariffs complicate trade negotiations between Brussels and Washington. The tariffs also contributed to a drop in U.S. stock indices, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling 0.17%, the S&P 500 decreasing by 0.25%, and the Nasdaq Composite dropping 0.27%. The U.S. dollar weakened due to negative market sentiment stemming from the steel tariffs and broader tensions with China. Further, the FDA has indicated issues with Akeso's cancer drug, leading to a slump in shares of both Akeso and its US partner, Summit Therapeutics. In response, the European Union is preparing countermeasures to the United States' imposition of surprise tariffs on steel, anticipating a failure to reach a trade deal. These tariffs have rattled global markets and complicated negotiations between Brussels and Washington. Turning to Hong Kong, the stock market experienced a downturn, with the Hang Seng Index closing 0.6% lower at 23,157.97. This decline was fueled by rising geopolitical tensions between the US and China and disappointing property sales data that electric car makers Li Auto and Bide also saw their shares decline. A weaker US dollar, due to its currency peg, may present mixed implications for Hong Kong, potentially attracting global investors but also increasing import costs and inflation. In the biotech sector, Chinese firm Akeso's shares fell after less favorable clinical data dampened hopes for quick US regulatory approval of its cancer drug. Amid these challenges, X Prize Foundation founder Peter Diamandis addressed the complexities of global scientific collaboration, given geopolitical tensions and the threat of technological decoupling, emphasizing the importance of realizing human potential. Meanwhile, Australian shares faced pressure from the banking and energy sectors. However, shares of Australian investment firm Washington H. Soul Pattinson and its affiliate Brickworks surged following their agreement to a $9 billion merger. Across global markets, instability contributed to a surge in gold investment demand, which rose 170% year-on-year in March 2025. This increase was driven by strong ETF inflows, while central banks purchased 244 tons of gold. However, jewelry demand in India dropped 25% due to rising prices. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine is intensifying, even with prospective peace talks on the horizon. Russia is allegedly enlisting Ukrainian citizens living in the EU for clandestine missions. Russia asserts it has intercepted over 160 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles within its borders, including 162 in a single night, subsequent to a large-scale assault on airfields. Turning to Ukraine, President Zelensky has appealed to Donald Trump to implement stricter sanctions against Russia should peace negotiations fail. Tragically, a recent Russian offensive in Ukraine resulted in at least 5 fatalities. In western Russia, explosions led to the collapse of 2 bridges, causing 7 deaths. Meanwhile, Russia has formally accepted the Taliban's designated ambassador to Moscow, signaling a shift in diplomatic relations. Global shares have fallen, and oil prices have jumped due to increased geopolitical uncertainty stemming from trade tensions and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. India's stock market saw a mixed performance recently, with the Sensex and Nifty 50 indexes dipping amid global trade worries and internal economic pressure. Optimism was evident as 122 stocks achieved 52-week highs, contrasting with 48 stocks hitting 52-week lows. Foreign portfolio investors, FPIs, showed strong confidence by investing at 19,686 crore in shares during May, the largest amount since September, complemented by local investor support. Future investment, however, may be affected by increasing global trade tensions. Nomura projects a Nifty 50 target of 26,140 by March 2026, suggesting a 6% increase, citing India's stable economy and potential, driven by internal demand and aided by continued reforms and available capital. Poland recently saw Karol Nawrocki, a nationalist conservative with Eurosceptic views, elected as its president. Nawrocki's win, which received support from Donald Trump, could mean a shift to the right within the European Union. This may create difficulties for the current pro-EU government, led by Donald Tusk, the former president of the European Council. Saudi Arabia is seeing diverse economic activity, from potential cross-border ETF listings to real estate investment. The Saudi exchange is considering listing thematic Hong Kong AI and biotechnology ETFs. This move could foster closer financial ties. Naif Al-Ari Investment and Al Jazeera Capital launched a $453 real estate fund. The residential real estate market is predicted to exceed USD 130.8 billion by 2033. This reflects an anticipated CAGR of 6.9%. WHAM and BML are partnering to launch Saudi Arabia's first institutional cloud analytics platform. Corporate borrowing is boosting Saudi banks' Q1 profits. Regionally, Saudi Arabia and Qatar have pledged financial support to Syria. Domestically, authorities removed 205,000 unauthorized pilgrims from Mecca. They also shut down 415 fake Hajj offices. Finance Minister Mohammed Al-Yaddan led a nation at the 123rd GCC meeting in Kuwait. European auto stocks dipped 2% amidst rising trade tensions, triggered by the implementation of 50% steel tariffs. United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer has unveiled a significant restructuring of the nation's defence budget. Economically, the UK saw an increase in housing prices during May, driven by wage growth and strong employment figures. However, the manufacturing sector continued to contract, though early signs suggest a possible recovery. Amidst ongoing global tensions, Russia and Ukraine have initiated a second round of peace negotiations in Istanbul, seeking a path toward de-escalation. Simultaneously, a Ukrainian drone strike inside Russia caused a fire and transportation disruptions, escalating tensions. Moscow reports intercepting over 160 Ukrainian drones over Russian territory, a claim made following a large-scale attack on airfields. Russian media outlets have suggested a potential nuclear response to what they describe as Kyiv's bold bomber attack. Former U.S. President Trump had previously stated he could secure peace in Ukraine within 24 hours, although the specifics of his plan remain unclear. Asian markets felt the pressure from several global events, leading to a downturn. India's Sensex plunged 762 points in early trading. The Nifty also fell, reaching 24,538. Donald Trump's trade policies, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and OPEC's output plans impacted the market. Higher oil prices further contributed to the negative trend. Norway experienced a significant surge in Tesla car sales, jumping 213% in May year-over-year, a stark contrast to the overall decline in car sales throughout Europe. Japan aims to attract $1 trillion in foreign investment by the mid-2030s, exceeding its prior $840 billion target set for 2030. To manage domestic agricultural issues, Japan will convene a minister-level meeting to address rice supply matters. Japan's stock market, however, saw the Nikkei 225 index fall by 132%, influenced by worries about US-China trade relations and a stronger yen. Former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba warned against increasing tariffs and promised to grow the Asia-Pacific trade bloc. In business news, activist investor Farallon is investing considerably in Japanese. Injarmu is devising a strategy for launching the Switch 2 in Japan. Singapore is seeing significant activity with biotech firm Merck's, valued at over $1 billion and led by Zhou Lehan, planning a Hong Kong listing. Yung Aimbo recently participated in a World Federation of Exchanges WFE board meeting in Singapore, focusing on capital market issues. In other financial news, Hong Kong-based Link Asset Management reported better than expected performance of its Singaporean property Hong Kong's Link Asset Management, the manager of Asia's largest real estate investment trust, Link REIT, is bracing for increased requests for rent reductions from tenants. Even with this expectation, the company reported revenue and profit gains for the fiscal year ending in March. Meanwhile, Singapore's Merx's is moving forward with its plans to list in Hong Kong. Link Asset Management also anticipates its properties in Australia will perform strongly. South Africa faces both economic challenges and opportunities. A major retail fraud case is set to proceed in court, testing the nation's legal system. Simultaneously, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange is thriving, showing resilience amid global trade concerns. Revisions are needed to the draft 2025 Mineral Bill to boost mining investment. Anglo-American Platinum is ending its South African operations, a notable shift in the mining industry. The upcoming Big Five Construct South Africa event will showcase advancements in construction. In positive news, Patrice Motsepe's wealth increased by $200 million in May, fueled by gains in mining and in digital banking. Switzerland is set to receive a substantial boost in its technological infrastructure, thanks to a $400 million investment from Microsoft. This investment aims to strengthen the country's cloud and artificial intelligence capabilities. It will also provide support for local startups. Furthermore, the initiative includes programs designed to enhance digital skills among the Swiss population and foster innovation across various sectors. Uganda is seeing a positive impact on public health, thanks to an initiative providing affordable alternatives to traditional dirt floors, addressing a critical need in a nation where over 40% of the population struggles with extreme poverty. These improved floors are significantly reducing parasitic infections and respiratory illnesses, particularly among children. Transitioning to Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government is facing increasing pressure to address rising inflation rates, which are impacting the cost of living for average citizens. The Bank of Canada is expected to announce further interest rate hikes in the coming weeks to combat this economic challenge. Public discourse is intensifying around potential government interventions to ease the financial burden on vulnerable populations. Moving to France, President Emmanuel Macron is navigating complex labor reforms aimed at increasing the retirement age, sparking widespread protests and strikes across the country. The proposed changes are intended to ensure the long-term sustainability of the pension system, but face strong opposition from unions and a significant portion of the public. Negotiations are ongoing to find a compromise that addresses both economic realities and social concerns. Indonesia's trade surplus is shrinking due to increased imports, particularly from China, amid global tariff anxieties. The United States faces potential economic disruption from its dependence on China for rare earth magnets, given China's control over their supply. In Congo, seismic activity has caused widespread flooding at a major copper mine, raising concerns about the global copper supply. Shifting focus to Germany, Amazon is under scrutiny from regulators regarding price controls on its marketplace. While the country's financial watchdog is employing AI to detect market abuse, Cambodia and Japan have agreed to strengthen economic ties, with ADFX also obtaining a license from Cambodia's securities and exchange regulator CERC. Vietnam sees Japan as a reliable partner in this new phase of collaboration. The Philippines is considering importing rice from India and Thailand to diversify its supply sources beyond Vietnam. Positive performance was seen in Kuwait equities, fueled by gains in premier market stocks. Air India's CEO has stated the ban on using Pakistan's airspace is driving up flight expenses. Tokyo stocks closed lower due to concerns surrounding steel tariffs. France experienced a significant drop in Tesla sales, plummeting 67% to a nearly 3-year low. Brazil's share block sales have reached $15 billion, nearing a record, and economists anticipate early momentum will push the country's GDP above 2% in 2025. In Chile, peso bonds are becoming more attractive as the nation progresses towards its CPI target. Canada's tax is also being closely monitored. Trading has resumed on Syria's Damascus Securities Exchange after a 6-month halt. Qatar and Kuwait have signed a tax agreement designed to enhance their economic relationship. Kenya's Madaraka Day celebrations in 2025 highlighted economic independence and the expansion of digital assets. Microsoft is investing $400 million in cloud and AI infrastructure in Switzerland. Hyprop has reportedly launched a rival bid for Mass to enter the Romanian retail market. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.